Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the all-new Transformers Shattered Glass Voyager class Heroic Decepticon Starscream. And yes, Hasbro have once again gone ahead and reissued the Siege Starscream mold, a mold which I actually hoped we saw the back of when we took a look at the Sparkless Seeker, and I really have no idea as to why they didn't use the Earthrise figure for this guy, as we've really had way too much of this figure in my opinion. I'm so hoping that someone at the factory actually drops the mold, breaks it and damages it beyond repair. I know that this is a good figure, but it's definitely not 3,000 repaints good, but nevertheless we'll take a very quick look here at the packaging. Something I first of all want to mention is the price of this particular figure. Here in the UK he retails for about £36 to £42, which is just astronomical for a Voyager class, and I really have no idea as to why these figures are so inflated, as essentially they're figures that we've already got in the past that Hasbro have probably re-released 100 times already, and they're literally just put in brand new packaging. So why there is a price increase, I honestly have no idea, but the figure definitely does look pretty decent despite some of the qualms I have with this being the Siege release. You can see the box art is fantastic. I really do love this rather sharp and angular design that we've got going on here. You can see some fantastic artwork of Heroic Starscream there. As we spin around to the back, you can see the figure with two new accessories. Surprisingly, they did in fact actually give this guy some new components. We've got a very brief bio. Starscream, a brilliant Decepticon scientist, grimly invents new weapons with the hope of one day bringing peace and an end to the war. And you see here on the other side of the box, we've got a very cool image here of the character. So without further ado, let's crack open this Shattered Glass Starscream. So here we have Shattered Glass Starscream cracked open and out of the packaging, and you know, actually looking really cool. I think out of all of these Shattered Glass figures that we've seen so far, Starscream and Optimus Prime are probably the most visually striking. Of course, we've got Megatron yet to go, which I think may actually be the best out of the whole bunch, but Starscream is definitely not looking too shabby at all. One thing to note is that we are once again dealing with that Siege mold, which honestly I would have loved to have actually gotten this particular deco done on the Earthrise release, just as we've seen this mold so many times, and it's actually quite outdated now. I believe it will turn 3 years old this year, which honestly, no mold should be in circulation for 3 years. I really think they need to put this to bed, much like they have hopefully done with that Siege Sideswipe mold. But actually taking a look here at the figure, I can certainly see what they were going for. You can see how, to me at least, he's giving me very heavy Jetfire vibes. I think the predominantly white colour scheme works so nicely, and to be fair, it's probably the best repaint we've seen for this mold so far, just as he looks so visually different. Now, in regards to new components, sadly the actual mold itself is untouched, so we do not get any new head sculpts, but we do get brand new weapons, which actually look really cool. So you can see how he's now sporting these dual blades. These have been completely cast out of a fantastic transparent blue plastic with the handles there painted, and if you do actually remove them from the figure's hand, we can combine them to form a wicked awesome Star Saber looking sword. So these simply do just come together, snap into place, and you can see how we've got this really cool looking weapon with the massive blue blade and of course the huge handle hilt. This can be inserted into either of the figure's hands, and you can just see there he looks really cool. One thing worth mentioning is that I wouldn't recommend pushing this down all of the way, as the fingers will in fact rub on the secondary handle, causing this to split. But you can see there, that is definitely such a wicked weapon for the figure. But sadly, that is the only new part about this particular release other than the colour scheme. It would have been great to have gotten perhaps a smiling face sculpt for this guy, or even if they could have just taken the Thundercracker smirk. As it stands, we've got a rather really unhappy looking face sculpt. I actually think this is the saddest Starscream face sculpt I've seen so far. You can see how the mouth literally is drooping on each side, which really is quite unfortunate. But in regards to the detail of the torso, I think the paintwork is so well done. No paint bleeds from what I can tell. You can see the red, the black, everything just looks excellent. Even the red stripes going over the faux cockpit. You can see the Decepticon insignia. We've got the same null rays that we've seen on the previous version, and one thing to mention is that I do believe this is actually the first clean version of Siege Starscream that we're actually seeing, so there is no battle damage applied to this guy at all. You can see some fantastic looking sculpt work. It's definitely a really cool mold, but not one that I hope to see in the near future anytime soon. You can see here for the lower section, we've got some nice bursts of black, just to of course make some of those details stand out from the white plastic. And as we spin around here to the back of the figure, I think this too also has turned out really nice. You can see a nice gunmetal used there for the thrusters, which we'll see more of in the jet mode. You can see some nice red detailing here for the back, and we do in fact actually get some blue light piping, but much like the Seekers that have come before this guy, it is actually quite difficult to get enough intense light actually shining through this before the eyes do illuminate. I really have no idea as to why he looks so unhappy. If they could have given even in the expression that we got here on the box. Whilst the mouth is slightly drooping, it definitely is a different face sculpt, at least from what I can tell. You can see that it appears to be slightly thinner when in comparison to the more squat sculpt that we've got here. So yeah, I really wish they could have given this guy a new head sculpt. I really think that would have been the icing on the cake for this release, but as it stands, I guess it's not a bad looking figure by any stretch of the imagination. Now we'll very quickly run through the articulation. Surprisingly, this guy holds up impeccably well. There are no loose joints on him at all. So we get a ball joint here at the head, which can look up and down, as well as of course tilt side to side, rotate left to right. We get that awesome butterfly joint hinging forwards and backwards, hinge joint here at the shoulder, rotation at the bicep, double joint here at the elbow, full wrist rotation, as well as a full waist rotation. The legs can kick forwards that far, as well as back to that far. He can of course do the splits, rotation at the thigh, past 90 due to transformation, which is excellent, really stiff hinge joints there. And for the foot, this can pivot forwards and backwards, as well as rock slightly side to side. So definitely a very well done mold and a figure that holds up really, really well. But I would have loved to have seen this guy done in the Eartherized mold with this particular paint deco. Turning to a few size comparisons, you can see how Starscream stacks up next to that Eartherized Optimus. It is exactly the same as what we've all come to expect. And if I just very quickly give you a comparison with another Siege Seeker, that being Skywarp, you can see how they really are the exact same. But the difference in color scheme makes all of the difference in my opinion. They really do look drastically different. And that's why I actually think this guy is by far the best repaint we've seen for this so far. It's at least the most interesting one. And if they do decide to re-release this figure yet again, I really hope that they do something similar to this in giving us a drastic difference in regards to the actual color palette. But definitely really cool figure. You can see how he's standing heroically amongst some of these evil G1 Seekers, whereas of course he is a good Decepticon Seeker. Now going through transformation, for those of you who haven't already seen this guy transformed, we'll very quickly take a look here at the instructions. I really do love the shattered glass color scheme that we've got there for the Transformers text, as well as the shattered Decepticon insignia, but you can see these are exactly the same as the Siege Starscream instructions. And if we just spin here to the back, it shows you how you can in fact integrate the blades onto the base of the figure, and here it shows you how you can in fact store the brand new blade accessories. Just for those wondering what the differences were for the instructions, they did actually go the extra mile to slightly tweak these. But getting down to transformation, of course you're going to want to remove the null rays, just set them here off to the side, collapse the heel spur as well as the front of the toe over the top here of this thruster section. We can then fold this section out, fold the wrist in, take the shoulder, compress that in, snap that into place, of course flip over here to the opposite side, and you guys guessed it, repeat the exact same process. So hinge that out, fold this in, very stiff joints, which honestly is super surprising, and then just collapse that here over the top. You're then going to want to take this torso plate and pop this forwards, and this also does stay on the best I've seen so far. So maybe they have made some refinements. There's no pin actually shot through this, but honestly this grips on so securely, which is awesome. You're then going to want to take these intakes, pull these out, as of course they are held in via these tabs, so just disengage those, bring these sections here down. We can then take this panel and that tab will shoot into the back of Starscream's head. So just lift all that up. We can then take the head and just fold the head here like so. We can then come to the waist, rotate this all the way around, and then come to the nose cone, snap this section here just like so. Come to the legs, fold these in, and these particular sections are in fact going to slot into that black piece. So just snap that in there, and of course snap this section in. We can then come here to this, and these two slots are going to peg into these two tabs. So snap all that into place, and of course repeat the exact same process, just locking everything in just like so. We can then bring this section down, and then here with the Tetrajet wings, these are going to tuck under, and of course repeat the same process on this side, and then these two tabs will also shoot into some slots on the top. So just align that up, snap all of this here into place, and then for some final steps you're going to want to take this section, bring this here to the back, snap that in just like so, and there we've got the all new shattered glass Starscream fully transformed up into once again a really cool Tetrajet alt mode, especially now done in this brand new color scheme. It looks fantastic. We can of course bring in the null rays and just peg these here on to the underside, and repeat the same process for this side. And then if you wish to actually store the blades, you can peg the null rays into the same port that you would have done where the shoulders are for robot mode, and then for these will then fit into these ports here on the side of the wings. So just snap that one in there, align that null ray back up, and of course repeat the same process here on the opposite side. And there you've got Shattered Glass Starscream wielding all of his weapons, actually once again looking really, really cool. I love how those transparent energon blades look on the figure, but that transparent plastic that we've got going on here for the cockpit is some of the best colours that I've seen on any mainline Transformer figure. That looks so well done. You can see the red paints all come out incredibly crisp and precise. We've got a nice air intake here at the front, Decepticon insignia. You can see the Scott work is just so well done on this particular figure. Of course there's some undercarriage, but I can definitely understand as to why Hasbro and Takara have reissued this guy so many times. It is definitely a really good mold, and probably is a little better than the Eartherized figure considering that it is better articulated. But I really think there comes a point where Hasbro can't continue to churn out the same mold over and over again just with a different color scheme. But this definitely looks pretty cool. You can even see here at the front we've got a nice red, so can't really complain about the colors that much. So some final thoughts for Transformers Shattered Glass Voyager class Decepticon Starscream. Overall, in regards to a recommendation, I guess it really just comes down to personal preference. I personally picked this guy up because I thought he looked so much better in person than he did shown in some of those initial prem images. But like me, I know there will be many out there who just do not want to continuously keep buying the same mold just done in a different deco. And for those who have picked up the original Siege Starscream or pretty much any of the other repaints, then honestly I think you can give this guy a miss, as you're not getting all that much besides those new blades and the color scheme. The mold is exactly the same, and you could probably pick up some of those other figures for a much cheaper price point than you can for this guy. He is retailing for nearly £40 here in the UK, and I've actually seen on some online places going for a little more than that, which is just ridiculous. That's borderline the price point of a leader class figure, and no Voyager should cost that much. Initially I thought these guys were a little more expensive as they were supposedly supposed to come with an IDW comic or some sort of Shattered Glass comic, but at least here on my particular release I didn't have anything of the sort, and I also never got anything like that with my Blur figure. So as to why these guys cost so much, honestly it's beyond me. I have no idea at all, and especially considering that retooling and new parts are kept to a bare minimum with these figures, I really can't tell as to what could potentially be inflating the price, as all they're really doing is just reissuing a figure which they've already earned their money back and so much more profit. So honestly not particularly certain as to why these figures are so expensive. For those who are a completionist of the Seekers, then this will definitely be a really nice repaint to add to the collection. I do think that, as mentioned, it is by far the best repaint we've seen for this guy so far, at least in a very long time, but definitely not £40 and in some case higher. So I really would love to know down in the comment section below, do you guys agree with my thoughts? Do you think I've been a little harsh in regards to this particular figure? Will you be adding it to your collection? And what do you guys think in regards to Hasbro reissuing the same mold just with a different colour variation? Are you guys completionists, or are you just happy with experiencing the mold one time round? I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and until my next review I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.